2024.
I did find a correction I like updated
Okay,
under it'd be C, general business. I believe it was written as motion by Commissioner Milburn to approve the meeting minutes with corrections. I think that needs to say motion by Commissioner Milburn to move the planning commission meeting date from December 24th to December 17th.
yes, thank you
That
for
could be an
catching that.
important one we updated.
Great.
Other than that, that's all I've done.
Okay,
They were great.
so we've got a motion to approve the minutes
Second.
with this amended changes. We've got a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Okay, motion approved. Disclosures of conflict of interest. Anybody have any?
Yeah, I'll have to excuse myself from item 7A.
Okay. Disclosures of outside communications regarding commission business. Anyone have any?
Nope.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is call to public. Members of the public who wish to address the planning commission regarding items not on the agenda may do so at this time. Any presentation is for information purposes only. No action will be taken. There's a 4-minute time limit. Anyone have anything? Seeing none, we'll close it. No public hearings. Old business, none. New business, consider site plan for the DeSoto self-storage. Brett.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. What you have before you is a modification to the PD site plan at DeSoto Self-Storage. This actually was developed in the early 2000s, 2006 is the information I found as far as the grading plan and site plan. You do have the application itself. Nolte Architects completed that along with Milburn Associates. Representatives of Nolte Architects are in the audience as well as the applicant. So if there's any specific questions, they certainly can help you answer those questions. I also included the final plat for DeSoto Self-Storage as well. No changes have been made to the boundary or the property itself, even there has been quite a bit of construction with the widening of Lexington Avenue. As I mentioned, the tract is currently zone PD, planned development. The difference is the original PD had a retail storage on the front and a fair amount of auto parking. The applicant is asked to change that to have about 36,000 square feet of climate-controlled self-storage, which will have 227 units of varying sizes. So with that, went through our standards for reviewing a site plan, and I guess ultimately the charge of the Planning Commission is whether or not the revised development plan is consistent with the 2006 PD, is in conformance with other city regulations. So I'll go through the evaluation procedure that staff went through, and then we can have a discussion on the change to the site plan itself. Interestingly, Commissioner Huggins was the designer and sealed the drawings back in 2006, so that was kind of a little bit of a surprise, but you stay in the business long enough, things come back to bite you, don't they, Mark? So anyway, one of the things that I found I kind of struggled with on this was the parking requirements. DeSoto's code doesn't specifically address self-storage units. Did some research on a lot of communities around us and didn't see a lot of specifics either. I did find some general statements about one auto parking stall for 50 units, but this was more geared towards self-storage, not climate controlled, because the climate controlled units are smaller. I mean, they're range from closet size to small garage, things like that. So it's a little bit different kind of storage uses, even though within the subset of storage facilities than we typically see. I did see, found some information from Kansas City, Missouri, that they required 3 stalls plus 1 stall for every 75 storage unit spaces. And that's interesting, what was on the site plan itself. So that's what, after evaluating, I feel comfortable with that. I also just did some reconnaissance on aerial photos, things like that. In Gardner, they've got several self-storage units. They always pretty much had 2 or 3 parking stalls for those locations. Same with Lenexa and Olathe. They just had a very minimal amount of parking. And it's really based on, the length of stay. People, just anecdotally, my own personal times that I've had storage units, I mean, you just roll up, get in, get out. You don't really have parking spaces because you park in front of your unit and you unload your stuff and you clear out of there. So there isn't a real need for a lot of parking. And so based on that, I'm comfortable with the total of 6 units, with 1 of those units a handicap stall, and that is shown on the site plan. Also, landscaping elements were included as required. I did review that. They meet our requirement. Stormwater management, there has been some significant changes to the access to the site itself, but did review the stormwater management letter, which is included in the packet, and no additional stormwater detention is needed. There is a fairly significant detention pond to the south, to the north and east on this site. Public utility improvements, won't see any changes as far as water, sewer, electric, anything like that. Already exists, so there won't be any changes to those. Interestingly, in the applicant's favor, a sidewalk is being constructed along Lexington Avenue, so there would be no need to require that as far as the site plan goes. The architectural standards, there are renderings included, an evaluation of the renderings, and looking at the drawings, the elevations of the buildings do have the varying architectural features as required by city code. Signage, no signage has been requested. As I mentioned, the landscaping requirements are met and they are included in the site plan itself. One thing that was deficient was we do require a photometric plan. The site plan itself did say they'd, do the shielding on the lights and all those types of things that we typically require on the drawings themselves, but a photometric plan is part of our requirement, and that is part of one of the conditions in the staff report that needs to be submitted prior to moving on with building permits. As I mentioned, proposed stormwater runoff from the site will be equal or lower to the existing condition, and then easements and lot lines. You'll notice that, and that's part of the reason why I put the plat in there. It shows some of the setbacks to the buildings, and then the applicant actually adhered to the 15-foot setback to the front, side, and the 2 sides, and then the rear it exceeds the 15-foot setback. Now, I didn't find any discussion of the minutes or anything like that that talked about those things. All I can do was look at the drawings and see that that met pretty much the existing conditions for the overall PD development itself. So with that, staff recommends the approval of the site plan with the photometric plan to be completed to meet the SOTO standards. And with that, I will stand for any questions you may have. Also, as I mentioned, the applicant is in the audience tonight.
Brad, I don't really see any defined parking in the existing facility. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So
And that kind of goes to my point. You pull up in front of your unit, you don't park and walk into your unit and carry your stuff. You pull up right up front. So that's why it's kind of a different situation.
The north elevation would be the one that has the parking spots adjacent to it, that, right there.
Yes, it's the north.
That one, yeah, okay. Is there anything with like ADA compliance that we need to think about here at all, or is that okay with the handicap spot? I'm just curious.
Yeah, that is a requirement within our code to require basically one ADA spot per 25 stalls. They've certainly met that. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but not all levels will be ADA accessible, just the level where that parking stall is. And we've talked about that with other items that have come before the planning commission as far as making sure at least there are accessible uses within the land use itself for handicapped individuals.
That's all my questions.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions for the applicant or anything?
Should we look at the existing spaces? Just to make sure they're up to code. No, I don't have any questions. I'm assuming you looked at the photometric and the trees and the plants and all the
I did, make
things.
sure all the plants were looking good and the outside looking nice. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 7A as proposed. With the condition of the photometric plan? Yes.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Schultz,
Yes.
Maddock,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes,
Huggins.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Set a record, you guys.
Do have a discussion topic though, and I'd like to bring up.
All right,
At the last council meeting, Councilmember Daniels wanted the planning commission to reevaluate the R1A and the 50-foot wide lot width. So we have scheduled a public hearing for January, since we did have a pre-meeting on it. Mike, if you've got any additional comments, just thought that was an
Yeah, I
appropriate
think-
change that.
Yeah, I think generally the council wants us to reconsider the smaller lot widths for that R1A. I think when we talked about it here last time, we recognized kind of just an oversight that we didn't have it in the initial discussion. And council just feels like it's appropriate to consider that again for a specific recommendation. Because remember when we brought it up last time, we were like, wasn't too much interest in it. We're going to let it sit. And I think primarily what the council wants to allow is a higher density product that does not allow duplexes. I think is the general intent, that there should be some zoning classification where you can get a more dense product on a smaller lot that doesn't allow someone to come in years later and put duplexes in. So it's mostly what the discussion was about.
So that's just a heads up, so it's gonna be back, so,
That'll be in January.
yes, it'll be at the January meeting, and that's the 28th.
The public hearing in January or discussion in January?
Public hearing in January.
Okay, so we
We've
can,
kind of already had the
Yeah,
discussion.
I mean,
already.
we could have a discussion here on the 17th.
Yeah, we could do
You know,
that.
we could bring
If
that
you
back.
want, we can put that back on the agenda.
We just couldn't get the public hearing called in time for that December meeting.
That is correct, yes, because we moved the meeting date up.
Yeah.
it'll be back on December the 17th then.
No, the discussion will be on the 17th. The public hearing will be on January 28th, I believe is the date.
Good.
And then the rezoning for the Grata project will be a public hearing on the 17th. They have submitted another application for rezoning the property. It does not contain any R3 on it, though.
Nice. Okay.
Be back.
Okay.
And I think the temperature has definitely dropped since I sent out the notices last Friday and haven't heard anything from any of the
There has
residents.
been quite a bit of discussion between the developer and neighbors and a council member or two. And, yeah, I think, it seems like, I think what you're gonna see back is a kind of a compromised position.
I will
Well,
assume.
that would be fantastic if he could make the ROI work for him and
Mhm.
still accomplish what they were shooting for, which was not putting apartment complexes right up next to big single-family homes,
Yeah.
so.
Yep. I think that message has been received.
Loud and clear, right?
I've been one or two people's.
Yeah, I think we did hear a few people.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Anything else, Brad? Are you good?
No, that is good.
All right.
It's everything I needed.
Okay. Any other discussion, guys? No? All right, looks like we just have the calendar. December the 5th is city council, December the 19th, city council, and December the 17th we'll be back. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion
Very quick.
This conference is no longer